Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, where we chat with industry leaders and get their take on the challenges facing the market. And maybe we'll have a little fun along the way. On this week's episode of the Marketing Stir podcast, Ajay and Vincent are joined by Nate Pinkston, Global Head of Retail Media at Microsoft, to discuss the rapidly growing retail media ecosystem and Nate's strategies in convincing businesses and consumers to adopt Microsoft's new products.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another episode of The Marketing Stir, brought to you by Stirista. I am the always happy, class happiest 1996 Portchester High School, one of my superlatives. I got a few that year. It all fits to this day. Anyway, great to be talking to you again. I'm dressed up for a variety of reasons, mainly because for the guest. And, it's the holiday season. You're probably listening to this in like February. It's okay. That's how busy we are. But let's pause for a moment. The Marketing Stir. If you're listening to this for the first time, Stirista, we are a marketing technology company. We own our own data. B2B, B2C. We help companies access that data through our technology to help them get new customers. Who doesn't want new customers? Email me, vincent@stirista.com. That's the only advertisement. I just gave you my email address. That's silly. It's a silly thing to do. But you're using it, not always for the reason I intend, but hey, that means you're listening. Another thing, great to see my co-host. There was a few episodes where he couldn't make it, but we are off of an adventure together, multiple adventures. Ladies and gentlemen, with the quarter zip on today, Mr. Ajay Gupta. What's going on, Ajay?
Hey, Vincent, it was good to see you in New York. Always a surprise to find even new bars. Just when I feel like I've seen it all, we discovered something new. I think it was the Soho Grand Hotel?
The Soho Grand, I know. And it's one of those places, that's New York City. And our guest, although New Jersey, he knows New York though, our guest will tell you, New York City is one of those places, like I walk around and I'm like, what? I was like, there's a restaurant from the country, Jordan? Like food is amazing. Like it's crazy things like that. Soho Grand, I always go there, AJ, with my kids. There's a little diner there. But, I went and it was hopping. That just dated myself. I just said hopping. So, I don't know if we belong there at that hotel, but it was fun,
Yeah, I guess I won't share how we broke into the party here since we don't want too many other people to know how to get in there.
No, there was a long line, but I knew a secret. I said, do you listen to the Marketing Stir? No, that wasn't the reason. The bouncer did not listen to the Marketing Stir, but it was great to have you here. We had a few great adventures. So this is coming off of our 5th annual summit. What a great summit we had in person in San Antonio. I hosted, you co-hosted with me. We had we had Chad Engelgau, we had these people from the San Antonio Spurs, we had people from Taco Cabana, we had Tony Dorsett, Hall of Fame running back from the Dallas Cowboys. This Giants fan got to introduce and interview him. Great times, AJ.
Yeah, no, you did a fabulous job, and I hope you have actually worn my gift that I gave you since I last saw you.
AJ gave me a pair of Hokas. Shout out Hokas, if you're listening. I've worn them around the apartment, but I have not worn them yet. It's been rainy in New York. The guest will attest to this. It's been cold, but it's been rainy, so I didn't want to ruin those beautiful whites. But I do appreciate them. I do wear them. I grew 3 inches. I'm now 6'4", so I'm pretty excited about that. Didn't need the height, but I'll take it, right? So do appreciate it. And AJ, let me tell you something. We were talking, I want to get to this guest. You and I could do our own podcast, which obviously we do, but just with us for like 2 hours. But we have an amazing guest, and we're breaking some news today too. This is why I'm so excited. But we currently have my friend from New Jersey. He's a New Yorker to me. That's kind of how we do it here. AJ, you're in San Antonio. You don't get it. But we've got our good friend, Nate Pinkston. Now, Nate, when I talked to him last, was the head of growth retail media at Microsoft. Yeah, that Microsoft. That's why I'm also dressed up because I said, I got to look nice. This is, Microsoft we're talking about here. But recently, this is the exclusive interview he's giving us with his new title. And I'm so excited. Nice new promotion. Global head of Microsoft Retail Media. Ladies and gentlemen, Nate Pinkston. What's going on, Nate?
Oh, thank you. And to be fair, I lived in Manhattan for over 10 years, so I think I can get away with the New York, New Jersey, you know how it goes.
Exactly. I tell a lot of people, even if they've lived here for 10 years and they're from Oklahoma, they're like, am I a New Yorker? I was like, did you see, what'd you see on the subway? Did you see something crazy? Did a rat run into your foot? I'm like, you're a New Yorker now. But yeah, I gathered that from you immediately. I was like, Nate is a New Yorker. And we know what that means. That means that there's a brotherhood, a sisterhood there. So AJ almost is a New Yorker. We're going to see one more trip up here. Well, we'll maybe give him his stripes. But Nate, great to see you. I love what you're doing there. The promotion, let's talk about that. What's the new role? What are you going to be doing there? Tell us about your, obviously people know Microsoft, but you're doing something very specific there. Congrats again on that promotion. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'm in the Microsoft advertising division. You will know us most notably from your favorite search engine, Bing. I'm sure everyone listening, that's all they use. But we are that division of Microsoft that focuses on advertising products. And so my very specific division, we've got things like Bing Search and a variety of advertising networks, audience networks. We recently acquired Xandr, the Activision Blizzard gaming division, and all of their advertising also lives within our group. But I'm very specifically focused on retail media. And so you may be familiar with retail media as you search for something on a website, that's the sponsored searches, the sponsored results that you get. And so we help power that technology as well as bring advertisers multiple ways to activate across a retail media ecosystem. And we're hopefully building out more and more of an ecosystem for advertisers to easily take advantage of just a really rapidly growing space. It's a there's depending on who you talk to, 200 or 600 retail media networks out there. And so our goal is to help bring some efficiency, scale, and consolidation to help advertisers make sense of it all.
That is helpful. We're going to talk about retail media networks later in the podcast because I swear every conference I attended this last year, Nate, we're talking about them, right? It's kind of the new, big data, ABM, cookies, all that stuff that's happened. I think retail media was kind of the buzz terms of this year. We'll get to that, but I have to always ask every guest because our listeners, if we miss this question, there's about one or two questions if we miss they get mad. And this is one of them because the journey, right? How did you get started in marketing? Well, I'll tell you, rarely people are like, I studied marketing and I am in marketing. Or as a child, I wanted to be in marketing. It's like, who really? We had a guest who said that. I'm like, all right, dare to dream. But how did you get started?
Didn't even really know what marketing was when I was thinking about, what I wanted to be when I grew up. I think it was more like astronaut. I really came through marketing and advertising. I think by chance, I was more drawn to sort of the tech side of it. I started in consulting and wanted to do like technology, media, and was focused on those types of products and projects and getting that experience. And more, especially being in New York, so much of that was around advertising, marketing, the media aspects of just what we do in this area. And so that's kind of where I started and ultimately ended up at a email and conversion rate optimization company called Wonderkind. But I spent about 5 years there doing basically email marketing and helping D2C companies, e-commerce companies build out their marketing funnels and their email drips and help them create triggered emails and better programs to help drive their growth. And then ultimately about 5 years after doing that, I was offered a role with Microsoft. And this was right after they'd acquired a small company called Promote IQ, which was a retail media platform. And so I came in to help lead the retailer relationship side of that business and have been here ever since. So I'll be just about 5 years in the new year.
Nate, when should businesses invest in retail media versus traditional search engines?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to think about with retail media is you're engaging someone typically really far down the funnel and close to that point of conversion. And so the analogy I often use is, if you're targeting someone out on the open internet or in some of the traditional channels, there's a lot of different ways you may want to try and engage them. But if they are on a retailer's website and I am searching for, chips or cereal, there's a pretty darn good chance I'm about to buy some chips or cereal. The fact that I'm already on the retailer's website, I'm already searching for those items, you are really at that point of decision and conversion. And so if you are a company that wants to help influence that decision right before that moment of purchase, you want to make sure that your brand is being shown right there in that search result when your competitors may be, 2 or 3 rows down or the next tile over. You want to be first. And so retail media is that opportunity to really get yourself in front of a shopper right at that final moment of decision, super far down the funnel. And so that's how I think about it, is it is that really critical opportunistic moment where you want to make sure you're showing up first rather than your competitors.
Nate, you have a background in customer success and strategy. How's that influenced your approach to growth marketing?
I mean, I think all of those things are really tied together. Generally speaking, whether your customer is an individual consumer or it's a large enterprise, there's still a lot of the same things that drive motivations. And, we're all people. You're always looking to engage and interact with somebody around, what are they trying to get done? What are they, hoping to achieve? And what are the things that drive them? If that's a certain box of cereal, that you're trying to sell them, it could be as simple as they want something healthy or tasty in the morning for breakfast. But so I think a lot of that same customer client facing mindset has driven a lot of what I've done. And when it comes to sort of that joining of strategy and marketing, I think if you talk to any marketer, it is by far one of the most strategic parts of any company and any growth story. You need to think about how you're really getting yourself in market. And at the end of the day, any private business, their whole thing is making money. And to do that, you typically have to sell something. And there's marketing. So I think it's really about those were good foundations for me to help influence and help shape, what I talk about in marketing, what I help marketers do and achieve, and help understand, what are the ways to leverage the tools at everyone's disposal and talk about a whole customer journey, talk about multiple channels and media planning and media mix, and get into a space where I can help actually achieve multiple goals for a marketer, as opposed to just, hey, I've got a thing to sell. Why don't we talk about why you should buy more of it? I find it's always better to talk about actually, what are you trying to achieve? And let's talk about how we can do that together. And maybe that's a little bit of what I got, but maybe it's also a little bit of something else that I can help, shape your decisions around.
And Nate, I want to let's go back to Bing, right? Let's go back to what you were talking about earlier. What strategies are you using for companies to adopt new products like Bing Copilot in particular?
Yeah, I mean, we benefit from AI is probably the hottest buzzword out there. Retail media, it's great. I love that. That's been hot for years, but AI is the hottest thing. So just that buzz and the interest that people have, I think we are getting a lot of that natural, more organic or earned media even around Copilot and new Bing search and everything that we're trying to inject into our products around AI and what that can do. But when it comes to actually trying to influence people to switch, say, the search engine that they use and to come to Bing search and use Copilot to help ask it questions and use that on a regular basis, the biggest thing is we're really encouraging people to check out the power of what it can do and the use cases across the board that you can just get so much faster with Copilot. And so I'll give you a couple of the things that I do with it all the time that I hope people will just take the opportunity, go to Copilot and try it. Go to Bing and use Copilot and try this out. I mean, if you're traveling, you're taking a trip, you got a holiday trip coming up, and you're looking for something that's family friendly to do, ask Copilot what you should do in that area. Let it give you an itinerary that works for you, your likes, dislikes, what ages your kids are, and what they can do. Use it for that kind of planning, and you'll be shocked at sort of the breadth of things that it gives you. And engage with it the way you would like a travel agent. And we use that term a lot, an agent. Ask it questions, refine what you're looking for, and just look to help it shape like a whole plan. That's really fun and can be super useful. You can also look at, there's a lot of fun little things you can do with Copilot to test it out, to just see its power. We've got this thing that we've started doing where you can use Copilot a Copilot plugin to create a song based on whatever topic that you want. So say, you're meeting with somebody and you want to have like a fun little way to kick things off, or a bigger meeting that you want to have some, rather than this awkward downtime of silence we all have at the beginning of large meetings, do a AI developed song around whatever the meeting group is meeting about. So I would say go play around with it. That's probably the most valuable way we're getting people to use it more than ever, is go try to take advantage of some of the fun things you can do with it. There's obviously image creation and so fun images that people are doing for LinkedIn or whatever. Just try it out. Take advantage of some of the power that it has to see what its capabilities are. And as you think about businesses and enterprises, for me, it does help me write things, summarize things. The best use you can do, and this will be plugging more Microsoft products, but if you've got Teams, have it record a meeting and transcribe it. It'll give you a perfect summary in most cases, maybe not perfect, but near perfect. And it'll tell you, here were the key takeaways. Take those takeaways and ask PowerPoint, save them in a file and ask PowerPoint to create a slide deck around it. And you all of a sudden go from a meeting you just talked through to a PowerPoint deck that can help brief somebody on whatever those takeaways are. So I've got a meeting. I'm going to do some prep with somebody for CES coming up in January, which will be, I think, in the past time folks are chatting or listening to this. But I'm going to meet with somebody. I don't have anything documented. We're going to have Copilot record it, and then we're going to make a briefing doc for our bosses, just using the recorded notes. So.
No, that's interesting. I love it. Thanks for that answer. And go check out Copilot from Bing. That sounds awesome. I love the idea of like being on a call, having a cool song, but then because one of the things I hate is getting all those notes and then having to write them down, put them into some area, but because it's Microsoft product to Microsoft product. That's great. Love it. Nate, let's talk about, you mentioned 5 years within this role. Take me through what you think the next 5 years, but not really about your role, but how you see growth marketing, how you see retail media going. So that growth marketing and retail media in the next 5 years.
Yeah, the last year or two, there's been tons of talk when you are hearing about retail media. I think it wouldn't shock anyone listening to this podcast to say there's frustration with both how many retail media networks there are out there and how different they define even the same terms or attribution and metrics. And so I think there is going to be more and more of a movement towards standardization. I'd love to say that it was going to actually be achieved. I think transparency is probably step one along that journey, and we're not even there yet. Groups like the IAB are doing their best to kind of drive that push for transparency, but I think it's going to be challenging to take that further to standardization unless you start to get what I think the next thing around retail media is going to be, which is consolidation. I talk with marketers who are trying to promote the same product portfolio across 40 different retail media networks. It's just so unsustainable to continue to try to manage all of those different channels, which are essentially today like 40 different walled gardens, except instead of Facebook reach, they've got like just a pretty narrow audience set, which sure, a lot of retailers are big, but not big compared to like the open internet. So I think what we're going to see is more consolidation around the market where you see either tools or super networks created where you can buy into a lot of retail media networks in one place. And look, realistically, Amazon and Walmart are probably they are big enough to kind of have their own walled garden and be valued as like a way to invest just directly with them. But after that, it's going to be hard for a lot of the retail media networks to sort of justify the mind share and ultimately the hands-on keyboard to create individualized campaigns. And so I think you're going to see more and more of a push for consolidation or tools or providers that can reach across many retail media networks and allow marketers to go to one place or a couple places and be able to control a vast reach of retail media spend. And so I mean, frankly, that's a lot of what we're investing to try and bring to market because we believe very much that it isn't sustainable to have, 40 or 100 or, it's more and more crop up. What marketer sitting there listening to this going like, you know what I really want is I want another 50 retail media networks I can invest in, each one with just a little bit less scale than the last.
With a company like Microsoft that's so large, how do you make sure that the team remains innovative and agile?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of going to be a challenge at any big org, I think. And the benefit that we've had is that we've operated in smaller teams for a long time. And the truth is, um, it is Microsoft and it's very big. And you might think, marketing and funding and resources just fall from the sky as everyone, rushes to use Azure more. No, we're a very profitable company. We're very well run in terms of looking at those metrics. And a lot of that is because we do not get a ton of resources. And so we are super scrappy. And especially in the advertising division, which, I bet at least half of the folks listening did not know there's specific advertising division at Microsoft. We are not the large player across Microsoft's portfolio. We are essentially a cloud business company, and we've got a lot of other great products around, office tools and workplace. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what drives our business. And so in the advertising group, we've just had to learn to be a lot scrappier and, make do with less. And so for us, that's a big part of how we've had to stay innovative and creative is by doing more with less or having such hard resource constraints, we've still got to make things work. So we got to get really creative. We got to do, guerrilla marketing, even though we're Microsoft. So, for us, I think that's really the key is we've just had to make it work with what we've been handed. So, try to keep upbeat, try to keep a great culture, try to get everybody thinking about investing in the right things by thinking more as long-term as possible. And, those are all things that I'm sure many organizations would say. And so it is all the same things, but for us, the big difference, I think, has been, we've had to just be really scrappy about how we're going to go to market and how we're going to engage with people.
Nate, I would not have expected the word scrappy to be describing your resources. So that's amazing to hear.
Anyone who's ever running a conference loves to come to us and be like, we'd love to have you be, the gold sponsor. And it's like, cool, that's like twice my entire year's marketing budget. So not going to happen.
So related to this, a lot of the people that listen to our podcast are younger career professionals. What kind of advice can you give somebody who is, starting out and advice can make a big impact on their career?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you can do is jump at challenges. And especially when you're young and can kind of take those risks, I say go for it. Look for what is something that, may seem a little bit risky, but, high risk hopefully leads to high reward. And so look for those opportunities that maybe are a long way out of your comfort zone even and may, be a long shot, but you can take some of those risks and take those chances. And if some of those things pay off, they could be huge wins for you. I have colleagues who are now obviously not early in their career, but back when they were offered an opportunity. I had one in particular who was offered an opportunity to work in sales at Facebook, but it was going to be almost all equity, like essentially no cash. And they were like, that's so risky. I can't do it. I think they ballparked it for me, but the stock they would have been given would have amounted to something like $900 million.
Wow.
There's risks that can pay off that maybe are worth it. Now, that's not every company, that's not every risk, but I think if you're early in your career and can do it, take those chances, go for the moonshot. And worst case is you're probably going to learn a ton in those scenarios. And so you're just going to be so much better off for the next opportunity to either evaluate it or succeed at it.
Nate, we're going to be winding down. We're going to get to some, of our personal questions in a moment. You're like, wait, what do you mean by that? No, just to get to know you a little bit better. But before we do, a few more questions about Microsoft. Advice you would give for, excuse me, anyone crafting an effective growth strategy for a global brand?
I mean, I love data and using that, frankly, to do a lot of customer segmentation. I think when you're really looking at a marketing strategy and how you're going to grow a business, you need to sure look at what's worked, but obviously you've got customers that aren't buying your product today, and so whatever you've done in the past hasn't worked for them. So I think looking at segmentation to say what are the kinds of messages, the outreach, the engagement we need to do for different customer segments, and really crafting specific strategies around those different customer segments is going to be one of the most successful ways to really drive growth. And understanding what your unique value prop is, so you can frame that. And maybe there's more than one, but frame the right value prop to solve your customers' problems. In most cases, what you're going to find is the most successful brands, the most successful companies out there are really helping their customers solve some sort of problem. That problem could be I'm hungry. That problem could be like I need something to wear. But ultimately, it's like there's some need or some ask, desire, want that is driving that customer. And if you can understand what that is and really craft your message to, we're not quite in the era of one-to-one personalization. Maybe with AI, we're not too far off from that. But really using it to look at customer segmentation to create something very specific for your customer segments. And where you've got ones that are not adopters today, those are the ones that you pressure test, A/B test, get creative around how you're going to engage those folks.
I love it. Now, a fun one, LinkedIn with your company and your title, especially now your new title. Don't put that out there just yet because, the inboxes will be a-flooding. A LinkedIn message, Nate, that resonates with you, and a message that you just like, come on, man, like what's happening here? What are you doing? Just one that you hate.
So having been in a business that did automated marketing messaging and automated emails, like I feel like I can almost always tell when I am in like a nurture series. And will be far enough out that hopefully this person isn't listening, and I'm not going to use their name, but I was clearly in a nurture series for somebody who wanted to sell me something. And we had a meeting booked, and I got one of the nurture series emails 2 minutes before the meeting. But it was clearly a non-personal, like they didn't send it as like, hey, we're looking forward to meeting with you. Here's some of the stuff I want to cover. It was like the next email in that series that I was just on the schedule to get, and happened to be a few minutes before we were actually getting on a call. And it's like, so just you got this total disconnect. And so on LinkedIn, if somebody's trying to reach me, what I would say is make sure you're sending something that actually is relevant to me, that isn't just the generic thing out there, because the spray and pray will work some amount of the time, but it's not the most effective way to work. And I can kind of sniff that out pretty easily. And so I would say look for a way to make something personal that resonates with what that person is going to care about, what is going to save them time, save them headache, answer a problem. Really, to me, that's probably what's going to get my attention. And if it is automated, look, hey, we got to do automated messaging. It's a great way to scale, and it will work some amount of the time. But if you really need to get to somebody, take the time to kind of personalize that and make it direct.
No, I agree. And AJ, did I tell you this story? I think I mentioned it on the podcast because I was so pissed at this. And to Nate's point, so we were at this conference in Georgia, my colleague Mike Hiltz and I, and through the app you could sign up for a party to go to. There wasn't many people at this conference, so we signed up to go to this party. Thank you. Your confirmation is confirmed. 20 minutes later, Nate, we're sorry. We're all booked up. We can't have you. Okay, no problem. I wanted to really learn about this company. It's something that Stirista didn't do, whatever. Then we started getting the automated email series. So sorry, we missed you at our party. We wish we could have had you there. That was 2 of them. And I then emailed the person back and said, hello, hi, I would have loved to come to your party. You said I was coming, confirmed, and then you got back to me. And no answer back. And again, still another 2 follow-up. We're so sorry we missed you. I'm like, get it straight. I even took the time to be like, no, you disinvited us. So I wanted to learn more about your service. I don't anymore. So thank you. So yeah, read the room.
Did you tell them that you were a Marketing Stir co-host?
That never works. It never works. There was no backdoor to get into this party. Plus, the party wasn't that fun. I went to another party that a company, Demand Works, hosted, and they were really nice and they were great. And hey, that's it. I'm very tempted to say the name of the company, but I won't do that to Nate on this great episode here. Nate, you're still a New Yorker to me. What do you like to do for fun in New Jersey? What do you like to do on the weekends? Talk to us.
So I've got a 2.5-year-old and a 10-month-old.
So no fun.
What I like to do for fun, Home Depot is a great place to get a little around. It is the holiday season right now. And so all the like blow up displays and stuff like that, that's a great way to kill some time. Is that fun for me? Less so. But that is what I do on the weekends. The more fun stuff, I love to drink good wine, have a great meal. A lot of places in New York to do that. So if I do get to go to the city, it's always like, hey, gotta kind of make the most of this. So many great restaurants, so many great places to go. Actually, speaking of, drinking, another good one for the kids is breweries. It's winter and cold, so can't do that, or not that you can't, but the great ones that have good outdoor space, those are godsends in the summer. Do love me some of that. Yeah, I don't know. Since I've had the kids, I have way less hobbies, really. Another fun one I'll just throw out, which again, I don't know if it'll be fun for me. If this is playing in February, I will have just done this, but I'm going to Monster Jam in January.
Oh, nice. We're at MSG. I hear you got to bring the
Newark Prudential Stadium.
Oh, that's awesome. They got to bring for both you and the kiddo. You got to bring the big headphones. I don't know if they sell them there, and I'm sure they do.
I've ordered some on Amazon.
That's awesome.
I get them ahead of time.
You gotta let me know how that is. I have a 7 and a 4-year-old, 2 little boys. It's crazy. There was this couple who just got married, and they're like, hey, eventually we want to have kids. This was just like 2 days ago, and they were like, oh, you just got married. I said, you know what you should do? Day drink. That's something that I miss doing, and I don't do it often anymore. Just at noon, go and have like 2 bottles of wine somewhere. Because once you do have kids, you're not going to want to do that. But that's great. See, now you have to come into New York City. There's a great new brewery right downtown. You could take maybe the PATH train in. Six Point Brewery. They just opened up one here. It's excellent. So you have to come in for that. Nate, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. That's Ajay Gupta. I'm Vincent Petrofessa. That's Nate Pinkston, the new global head of Microsoft Retail Media at Microsoft. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com.